If you're uncomfortable being recorded, make sure your video is off, and then you are also welcome to change your name on the Zoom settings. If you would just go in there and change your name if you don't want to be on that recording session. But I'm so happy to introduce Dr. Travis Irby to you guys. Dr. Irby has been an instructional designer with the Office for Academic Innovation since 2019. He was previously an instructional designer at Austin Community College, and he was also an instructional designer at Texas State University. He's taught both online and face-to-face classes, and he's worked with the University of Texas at San Antonio and the University of Texas at Austin, we still love you, supporting student accessibility. Travis is interested in fostering inclusive online environments and instruction that cultivate student success. Dr. Irby, we are so pleased and thankful that you're joining us this afternoon. I'm going to turn over the microphone to you to share your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and letting me be here. Just a little background. At UT Austin and UTSA, I started out in disability services. And so that's kind of always given me kind of an insight and a passion for accessible materials. And I've met some of the staff here at Texas A&M through my time there. And when I finished grad school, I ended up becoming an instructional designer. And it's really interesting because of a lot of the things I learned in disability services applied to ID work and vice versa, particularly when I was a special ed teacher. And, you know, how that all informed and all has kind of got me where I'm at with my career today. And so I have a real passion for it. I miss it sometimes, but I'm glad I can help push it forward in the online environment. And so that's why I'm really happy to share this tool with you. It's Ally. It's really kind of a service technically, but we call it a tool. But it's Ally and Canvas, and it's a really great thing that I think will help a lot of people make their classes more accessible. And it will help, you know, lessen, I think, the burden on the people who are doing the document remediation stuff for A&M. And so with that, let's get started. Okay, so basically this is Ally and Canvas, and this is a modification of our kind of training program that we do for Ally for our faculty and everything, but we're going to be more of an overview look at it and do some demos so you can show you how it looks. But presented by the Office for Academic Innovation, that's what I'm representing here today. And you know, it is Ally and Canvas. Now I will say it's a Blackboard product, but don't have it active in eCanvas, but it was created by the people who run eCanvas. So we do have it active in Canvas going forward. One thing I've learned a lot about is that people, as we help them migrate from eCampus to Canvas, are seeing Ally for the very first time. Some people who've been in Canvas have seen it, but they're asking, like, what does it mean? So I'm glad that we have a big audience today, so I can talk more about it and introduce you to it. So with that, I'm going to give you an overview of Ally. Ally is a tool that integrates into Canvas, and it's basically kind of a design to help you improve the overall accessibility of your course, particularly documents and images. And it evaluates everything that's inside the course. And this is important because it doesn't really touch the things outside the course. Unless the case, there's like, and we'll get to that later, things that are embedded, like links to YouTube, we can do that, but and links itself that are in the course. But say a website, it won't go and evaluate the website for you, but it will evaluate documents, your links, your images. And it provides recommended steps. And this is the thing, it's not just a tool that tells you, oh, this is bad, this isn't accessible. It does a lot to tell you how to do it. And that's where I think it's going to be such a boon to all of us, because it's going to put responsibility in a good way. The responsibility should always be there for faculty to create accessible courses and accessible materials. It really does give them the power to do it. And also students, we're going to talk a little bit about the student side toward the end. But it goes through, it's WCAG, basically go by the WCAG guidelines, and it goes and says, this is missing, you know, so image tag, heading, typical stuff. This is a scanned document. This PDF is not tagged, even if it's electronically PDF. And then the students can get multiple formats. And that multiple format thing, it's new enough here, but I piloted at ACC, ran through the pilot, we ran through a semester or two with it, and that ends up becoming very popular with all students. Again, accessibility, I think, is one of those things that has a much wider net than we think in terms of fostering learning and creating an equitable learning environment. So Ally covers a lot. PDFs, like I said, go through and tell you if they're tagged, if it's a scanned image. And I know we've all had it in a class, and maybe some of us are using it, no judging. Where you scanned a book page or an old article or something like that, it will say, okay, this is scanned. Microsoft Word files, PowerPoint files, the OpenOffice Libre, uploaded HTML, the range of image files, and then the content editor and the rich content editor. If you're not familiar with Canvas, it's got a very robust, rich content editor. Very good one, actually. I really like it a lot. And then YouTube videos embedded in the content. So if you embed the video in there, it'll get there and deal with it. But again, once it gets out of the LMS, it does not start gauging accessibility. I think there's an add-on, but we don't have it where you can actually, it will go and do the websites for you once you get out. But right now, it's just going to cover accessibility within the course. So let me move this out of the way. It's always a one of the big things that I'm going to show in here is the accessibility scores. Ally does a really good job of making a visual presentation tied with a good informative infographic type of design for faculty. So basically the content you see here, we see files, and there's, and I'm going to go in and demonstrate in a minute, but as you can see this like kind of highlighted area, there's files, and it goes and basically it starts giving you a score, and there's color coded, and red being the worst, the medium being the orange, and then green being perfect. And so basically it ties like basically it's 33% to 66, and then 100% is going to be the only time you get a perfect, like it's no accessibility issues at all. So like as you can see here in this example we use, there's quite a bit of accessibility issues with these files, and they're PowerPoints, documents, a PDF. So I'm going to go to the course real quick, and I want to show you. This is kind of a dummy course I've set up with some things. And where's my files? Oops. Oops. Sorry. As you can see here, I went quickly to my files. If you saw the original, the image of the PowerPoint, it was in the modules, but this is my file section. So you can either go to the modules and find out where they're at. Like say if you scroll through, but this has some other things set up and I don't want to go through it. So if I scroll to the bottom, you'll see what those modules are that starts having files like right there. Right here, some modules right there. You can go through the module there, click to get that score. This PDF is untagged, so it tells you what it means. And one of the things, it's like, what is a tagged PDF? It gives you an idea of what the untagged PDF is and what needs to be done to fix it. And then it talks about how to tag a PDF. Can you get and I love this part is a really, get to step, go through, it talks about the original documents, that sort of thing. And we're going to go more through this process later on. But again, oops, we got a PowerPoint here. Oops, didn't mean to click on it. And to get to reading, you can always click that little icon, the little meter. And you see a green right there. This is a PowerPoint, basically images, alt text. You go what this means. You get like a description of what you need to do. And I think the best part is how to add. You can download and basically shows you how to go through and do that. You can upload it there. So you can really just basically do it all in line with the accessibility gauge and score. There's a couple of ways we're going to go through and talk about how you can kind of approach the process of looking at the documents, getting a good read on what is accessible, what is not. But again, oops, go back. So, but also you can do files. Say if you want to just kind of go in files, you can go look there and you can click. I'm loading more results because I have a lot of files, but you can go and do it like this. But the cool thing about Ally is it has a feature called the accessibility report. And basically you need to uh, activate it in the course settings. So it's there, but you need to activate it. And I'm going to go through and kind of and show you that. So basically mine is already activated in this course, but you go to settings, navigation, and you see accessibility report. Normally it's right down there. Like when you go into a course, it's probably not activated. So what you could do is you click the three dots to either enable it or just move it back up there, and then you hit save. But since it's already enabled, I'm not going to do that. So the accessibility report is really a nice, like I said, it does a great job of combining the infographics and the functionality of Ally. Basically, instead of looking at those meters throughout your course, you can do this. You can use the accessibility report to kind of create a mannered and measured approach to making your course accessible. And I will say as a caveat, the best approach to accessibility is to make the course accessible from the beginning. Make your documents accessible, caption your videos, or use videos to link to videos that are properly captioned, tag your images. But that said, a lot of times, particularly now with going into new MLs, we're going to have a lot of people moving over very quickly, and they may not have a chance to do all that. And so this is where I think Ally is going to be a really great tool in terms of letting you fix it within the course and make it easier to make your course accessible. Because I think one of the biggest problems we have is not that instructors don't want to make courses accessible, but once it's already created, it's hard, and I get it. But you need to. We know all the legal ramifications of it, but what I think Ally does a really good job of making it a lot easier for them to do that. So basically, it's a course accessibility and summary scores you can see there, and it talks about the list of all the accessibility issues found in the course content and how to resolve accessibility issues in the content. So I'm going to demo this, go to my accessibility report. So here's my accessibility report for this class. And obviously I got a lot of files in here because I use this as a testing site for training and stuff. So as you can see here, we've kind of got our little like kind of what kind of graph it is, but not a pie chart, but it kind of gives you a breakdown of everything. And in the course accessibility, you get an overall score. 68, that's not good enough. You definitely want it to be better. And you've got 170 low scoring content items, which is not good out of the 647. So there's a couple of ways. The first way to do it is you can go with the easiest issues to fix. As you can see here, you basically go and you would start with clicking the easiest issues to fix, and then click start, and then click on the dial to begin resolving issues. So I'm going to do a couple here or go through the process. So I'm going to go with the easiest issues to fix. And this is really up to you. This is a preference thing. There's two ways to do it. So the easiest are is like you've got our PowerPoint here. We talked about that. So again, we talked about what is color contrast. Really, like I said, this is, I think, the greatest tool that we can do in regards to, or the greatest part of Ally is it gives step-by-step ways for faculty to make things accessible. And I think that it's a very well done process. And so I think, in fact, I would say when I piloted this at my other school, one of the things we found is that they really took to basically most of their general things, images, PowerPoints, Word docs, being able to go and fix those on their own. And that's huge. Because that means it's not stuff that you're having to run through your disability services office, your document remediation office. Pet PDFs, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, can be a little different because you need an Acrobat for some of those things. But there's also some even things in Ally that can help you overcome those issues too. So, like I said, it gives what is a color contrast? The color contrast is the difference between brightness and text color. And as you can see, you've got kind of this dark and this blue and gradient. And, I'm not a big person on using very fancy PowerPoints, dark text on a light background, light text on a dark background, but not gradients and stuff like that. So, and you get a tool like that, it links out to it. It can do a color analyzer. You can use, it's very nice. And then, it talks about why you have to do it, which I think is great because a lot of times when I was in disability services, we get a lot of why, or we got a lot of why. I still get it today as an ID when I say you need to make that accessible, or why. Look, you know, you don't always want to use the cudgel of you have to. It's it's a federal law, but I think Ally does a great job of kind of selling the faculty by using things. Why would you use this? It ensures legibility, essential for students with color blindness. Low quality matters can make glare worse. I mean, little things like that make a difference in selling why you want to make a document accessible, because we don't think of that. A lot of us don't until it hits us or until we have to deal with it in a class. So let it go, and then you can just go through all the pages. And again, it talks about how to do it. You can download it, and you can use the tools that you have to do so. So let me go back. And so go back to the course. And so, here we've got a JPEG. So this is pretty easy. What I love about this one, look at this. It's missing a description. How do I do it? Boom, just do the description right there. It talks about what this means. What is an image description, why it matters. Again, provides better context, facilitates searching, essential for students with visual impairments. And then, but I think what is, you can indicate it's decorative. If it's just something that's not has any meaning, just indicate it's decorative. But if you have like a image description, map of the world's oceans. Let me show you how to write a good description. But it basically talks about doing a good description. So I mean, like I said, it does a really good job of just easing the faculty along for every issue with accessibility. And so look at this, it gives great examples. Westminster.png, don't ever do that. A meaningful description, that's a better description than I write at times. I know I need to write one. And you see, like, even got the links in here, it's like the description and there, everything. It's almost like a class in accessibility and training. Like I say, it's something that's almost so good that it kind of takes away the need for a lot of hand holding when it comes to making courses accessible, as long as the faculty is willing to learn. It does a really good job. It talks about descriptions and graphs. That's another issue we have, and it talks about when you use a decorative image, and that's really important because a lot of times we use decorative images and PowerPoints and everything like that. And we need to make sure for our visually impaired students, they need to know what the image, if the image is important, what it is, or if it is just decoration. So, but I love the fact that you can just go back and map of the world showing major oceans. Oops, sorry. You do it and you add it right there. Stuff like that just makes it very easy to do it in line, and it's perfect. Now it's good. You see, we got our perfect green score. So again, it's just kind of like a really great tool to do. And a lot of, like I said, it's very easy to kind of go in and make your documents accessible in line. So, oops. So let's see, I got a PNG, I want to look for a different one. So one of these are JPEGs, and I think they're going to basically be descriptions. Yeah, those are descriptions. So let me talk a little bit about low scoring content. So another way we can evaluate and look at the process of remediating those files, making them accessible, is you can also view from the accessibility point the lowest scoring items with highest severity. So, this is good because it gives you basically stuff that is just absolutely incredibly inaccessible. And so to start that, we're going to go back in our accessibility report, back to the overview, and we'll fix the low scoring content. And so this is the lowest scoring content. And as you see here, this is the first thing, and this is probably the thing you're going to see a lot of in courses, especially if any of y'all working with other instructors in courses. And like I said, I know we've had those, 12th generation Xerox copies of books that are out of print or journal articles that we can't find. So granted, though, I think this is an image, but basically it tells you what it means when the PDF is scanned. Basically it talks about what it is. Again, I think the information is key in power, and it talks about why you avoid scanned documents. Talking about why it prevents searching, blocks copy and paste. It's unusual for students with visual impairment. They don't, nothing they can there. And even people who are not visually impaired would have trouble reading a document that's scanned, even though this is a picture. But how to fix, you can get a hold of it. Basically gives you a decision tree. It's like, well, no. And so when I talk about what the students can do in Ally, this is again the power of Ally, is that they can go and get accessible formats on their own. They won't see, and we're going to a course from a student view, they won't see any of those scales, but they can go and take some power over too. So another thing about Ally is it gives a ton of power to the instructors to make their course accessible, but also for the students to make their content accessible. So let's look at some other ones here, different types of things. I think this might not be a scan. So it's untagged. So this is one of the most common ones I see after the scanned. And like I said, these are a little more complicated issues than say adding a heading, or adding an image tag or contrast, things that they give you easy steps, because a lot of times you don't have Acrobat or the materials to do that. So what's this mean? Well, it's tagged, it's created a word processing program and they convert it. So, they don't automatically typically produce a structured or tagged PDF. And these things clarify the documents, the headings, the tables, the paragraphs. That's why you should always use headings in a Word document, because if you create the PDF of it, it will help it, but not always necessarily. You need to double check it and run the accessibility report in Acrobat to do so, or through Ally here, which, like I said, again, Ally does a great job of bringing everything into the LMS, making it easier for the instructor to really control accessibility in that LMS. And one of the biggest things is when I talk to instructors about you got all these inaccessible documents in your course. What can I do? It's like, I've got so many documents. Ally kind of gives them a plan. And I think that's huge. Structure. It's not just them going through all their documents and running them. And that is big in my experience working with instructors. So again, like, why do we use a tag PDFs? Essential for students with visual impairments. It's again easier navigation and adapts to screen size. I mean, we're doing more mobile learning, a lot more. Like I said, one of the big things about Canvas is I think it's very much more mobile friendly than Campus. And so these tag documents are better, not just for, like I say, a visually impaired student or anything, but also just for your regular students who are going to be using mobile devices to access this content. So, but you can use tagging. Oh, let me go back and say, basically you can add, again, how to tag it, find the original document. No. You have the alternative formats could be there. Let's say if I can go back. Yes. You can go through and open the original document, the Word document, or you can upload it. It allows you to upload the original document. And once you get it retagged, and you can tag it in Acrobat if you have access to it. So, or saved as a tag PDF in a Word document. So, let me see, I'm going to look for something a little different. Yeah. So basically, it's like you get down here, it's really their presentation in a Word document. This is always a good example. It has an image that's missing a description. Let's look at the preview a little bit. So this is a table, image of a table. Again, if you're constructing a table, you want to make it accessible, but this is an image. And so, what is the image description? Why? Better context searching for students with visual impairments. You can add descriptions again, download, and do it, and then you can upload the document within, which, like I said, again, that whole inline aspect of it is very important for empowering accessibility within the course. And then, let's see, I think, yes, the description. These are all images, and that's probably all descriptions. Check. Yeah, description. So again, if it's the image in the course, you can just add a description fairly easily. Again, it goes through what it means, how to add it. But basically, it's again one of the really nice things about Ally is it basically uh, talks about what you could do to improve content. I think it's a very friendly tool to use. Like I said, it relies on the infographics in a good way, but also offers meaningful content to make your course um, more accessible. Like I said, you click the the issue, the file, it's the issue. You review the issues on the content, and you go through, and it tells you, I think, what it means, which I think is great, and everything, and then how to add a description, how to tag the PDF, how to add headings, and it gives you the instructions. It gives you, and then you could do it all there. You download and upload, and upload the original document that's corrected. So I think one of the biggest things is, like, I've really talked about it from the um, instructor side about how Ally is really powerful, and it is, and I do not want to downgrade at all how powerful it is for instructor. I think it does a lot to give the instructors the means to improve accessibility in a way that we have not had before. Um, and I think in the same way, it empowers them to make the courses accessible in a way we haven't had before. And so, but it also is a very powerful tool for student accessibility in terms of letting them um, uh, see formats they need and how to make things accessible for them. Excuse me. So basically, I'm going to go into a course where I'm a student. So I'm going to go into my dashboard, and I'm going to go into this course here. I'm going to go to the modules. So I'm a student. Go to my homepage. I'm going to my modules, and I'm going through my modules, and I see a file or a PDF I want to download. So I'm the student. I'm looking through this, and I'm like, okay, this is what is this? So, and remember, the students aren't seeing the score. They'll see this little icon that lets them do alternative formats. So, I was like, okay, well, I need this in an alternative format. So what is alternative format do I need? And basically you click it, and it lets them download it. It can download an HTML file, an EPUB version, electronic braille version, which is really great. And MP3 audio, which, like I said, this is one of those things. Audio is basically where you really see this kind of mass benefit, because a lot of people are like, okay, I can play this in the car. I can listen to it on my phone. I can while I'm walking. And it's one of the things that is just that your average user who may not have any list accommodations would really get into and enjoy. And so I'm going to go ahead and create a MP3. It can take a few minutes, typically pretty fast, but I just want to show you how that works. And I'll show you a couple of the other formats. Maybe take a few minutes. Let's see. But like I said, okay, cool. The ability for the student to kind of pick the format they need that best meets their need is a huge advantage, because not only it kind of provides the one thing about Ally, I think it really does well for accessibility, because it's not going to fix everything. What it does is it gives a good path for instructors to fix things, but also gives students some power to deal with issues. And so that's, I think, where it can kind of be a double whammy. You kind of deal with the accessible issues of document and course accessibility that we see a lot. So basically now they have their MP3, it's down there, the alternative formats. So we have a translated version, machine version. The Beeline Reader is for basically kind of, it makes it a little bit better for a screen reader if you pause or something like that. And you can get help, the students get help to kind of learn what they need. It talks about the alternative formats, what they want, Again, let's go back and look at another one. So we've got a, template, and so they can go to alternative formats. Again, they create a tag PDF for it, a structured PDF. And again, this is like say, because I don't want to take the responsibility from the teacher, but say that you missed it, or it's just there. The students also have the issue be able to create a tag PDF from things and use this tool to get their good formats, alternative formats for their accessibility. So basically, like I said, it's really a twofold tool. It's really designed for helping instructors make their courses online accessible. Now, it's not going to do everything for them, but it gives them a very structured path. But it also, again, helps the students take control of accessibility issues within course to some extent. There's always going to be some things that probably need outside remediation, but the thing about Ally is it kind of really reduces how much those things probably needed at this point, because you don't need to be a computer whiz to use Ally and make those documents accessible with some of the steps they give you. And a lot of, and granted, like a lot of programs these days have a really good accessibility section to kind of lead you through the process. So the best practices for your classes, if you're in Canvas, again, it's not in eCampus, it's not activated in eCampus, but it will be in Canvas. It's is enabling your accessibility report. We talked about that. You want that because it's the easiest way to kind of go through and uniformly and accurately, and I think methodically, make your course accessible. And be prepared to remediate, publish your documents. Yeah, one thing is like, electronic documents, just because they're electronically created does not mean they're going to automatically be accessible. They'll probably have to be tagged to some extent. Evaluate the class documents for accessibility. Basically, I still think the best practice is as you create these documents, as you're making them, please make them accessible in the beginning. So when you get all your stuff up into Canvas, it's all green, it's all good, you're all 100%. And again, you create the accessible documents to improve accessibility. So these things will help you really use Ally to its fullest and make it a very useful tool for you. I want to talk about the office, but lms.tmu.edu, this is kind of leading to our migration to Canvas. There's a lot of information about our migration there. We have virtual office hours, and you can come talk about these sort of things, and that's on the site. And we also do training, our YouTube channel, the TAMU Office for Academic Innovation, and we have an Instagram, and then our support for technical issues is aihelp@tamu.edu. And there's the phone number. But again, I just think this is such a great tool. As someone who kind of had a background in disability services and dealing with accessible documents, if you told me, when I was leaving to go back to grad school, that in 10 years we'd have less than 10 years we'd have something like this, I would be like, wow. Because a lot of the times I was disability services, I ran document remediation stuff or oversaw it or worked with it. And so I highly encourage all of y'all who are teaching, who may be assisting instructors, who may be instructional designers. I know we have the academic liaisons now for Canvas, to really familiarize yourself with Ally, because I think it's a tool that you're going to get more questions about and people are going to wonder about, but it's a great tool, and I highly encourage everyone to take advantage of it and learn more about it. So that is end of my show, and I'll go back and leave that information up if you want to copy anything, but I am ready for questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Travis. This has been some really good information, and we do have some questions.
Cool.
So one of them, and we may have Tracy unmute and ask her question, the first one, just to make sure that I know at what point she was talking about, but it was about the files or pages, if they're automatically scored, I think when you're running the tool, or do you have to do something to check?
Okay, they're automatically scored. So once anything's logged in the document, they're scored. And so, like I said, let me go share the screen. I can show you. There's about 3 ways to get to those scores. And though our best practice is to be accessibility approach, I'll share with you. Let me go back to my share screen. Hold on. Okay, share. And so right here, I'm going to go. So, whenever you load a document, whenever you create a page, whenever you do anything in Canvas, it's going to automatically be scored. And so this is the student side. So the students are never going to see those scores. They have always the option to do the alternative formats, but they're never going to see the scores. But as an instructor, when you go to your course, let me get in there. You see I have 20,000 tabs open, such as life. And like you can go to your modules, and wherever you have the files, like when I upload these files, these are automatically scored. And you can also go into the file section. And again, that'll show you scores.
And if I can clarify, Travis, I think, when I save a page, is it giving me a score on a page, or is it only about files and uploaded? Like what gets automatically scored?
No, it does if you go into the pages. So let me go show this question. The page. So when it goes in the page, you'll see scores on things in the pages.
It's not on that summary page. They would have to dig a little bit deeper to see.
Yeah, that they have to, if you get a page, you do that, but it will, but what it does do is that's why we encourage using the accessibility report, because the accessibility report goes into the modules and the pages within the modules. So when you're looking at all these things, these are pulled out of all the course. So that's why the best practice is to use the accessibility report to go through and address issues, because it will fix them all. It'll capture everything. But like a visual, like if you go through just the modules or the files, you won't see that. But this here, the accessibility report sees all that for you. Like the images, that's in a page somewhere, and you can add the description and it'll fix it in the page. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the best, like I said, there's two ways to look at it. I mean, there's like three main ways you can look at it, but the way you want to do it so you get everything is to use the accessibility report. It's kind of designed like that. That's why it has a highly structured approach. You can either go with the high scoring items or the easiest items to fix. So the best practice is to use the accessibility report. So I kind of like would eyeball it sometimes and look at stuff because I was looking for files to show you and everything, to show you the scores. So
awesome, thank you. So another question was, once they make a document accessible in a course using Ally, how can they export it somewhere so that the next time they want to use it, it'll be accessible? So they develop it, put it in Ally, make it accessible using whatever tools they needed to do.
Yeah.
They want to save it so the next time they use it in another course.
So, I mean, within Canvas, you can basically do a course import or course copy, and it'll take all those accessible documents with you. Or you can like go into files and just a little load. And you can go back and pull the files out. I would say just if it's going to be the course structure that you want to keep, it's going to be accessible through a straight import or course copy. That those accessibility features are going to stay with those documents.
Great, thank you. If I use the Recognize Text tool in Adobe for a scan document, will that also fix the tagging or not?
I would go ahead and Tracy, you could probably answer this better. You're talking about kind of like like OCRing it, like a scan like book page and letting the OCR do it. And then I think you're going to still need to tag it after that.
I think if you do the automatic text recognition, it'll take your picture of the page and it'll make the text, but it doesn't give it the heading structure.
Yeah, it does. It's just going to OCR, and then you have to figure out the tagging and the structure, right? So
you should all know on this call that I am not a technology person, and Tracy Foreman is an assistant director in disability resources, and she is a technology person. So when you saw her comments, that's because she knows this. When I ask the questions, I really don't know the answers to them.
No, absolutely. Because I remember, I don't know if she remembers me, but I'd call Tracy when I was at UT Austin at times and ask her questions. So she really knows this stuff. So yeah, if I defer to her, trust me, she's going to give you the right answer.
I just don't know Canvas, so I'm trying to understand how this works in Canvas.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to learn to love it, I think.
Canvas are new to us, so this is awesome. Okay, some more questions. What sorts of accessibility issues arise with YouTube videos or recorded lectures besides captioning? Besides captioning, he made a caveat there.
I mean, it's got to be captioning. I'm trying to think what would it be besides captioning. Lack of transcripts, lack of captioning.
We don't see
Um,
much, but audio descriptions, which is a whole other level.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's actually what I was gonna say. That is one thing sometimes people forget. So they've heard about caption videos, so they make sure that they use words in their videos. But we've seen videos sometimes that will have music playing and they'll actually just have text scrolling
mhm.
across the screen. And if you're blind, you just listen to the music, but you're losing all of the text. So that would be one that has kind of been overlooked a little bit that we are trying to make sure that people are aware of. Okay, next question. Is the accessibility report available for spring 21 courses in this format, or is it more for a summer 21, fall 21?
No. If you have your course in Canvas, you should be able to generate. You need to enable it. Again, you're going to need to go to settings. Let's see.
And I'll jump in here. It's under navigation. And so I was
Yeah.
able to find that. So thank you so much. I was curious what the difference is between not
Sorry.
doing it and there being accessibility that pops up for individual items versus enabling it and having all of the essentially like that scoring for the whole course. So even if you don't enable it, isn't there accessibility feedback that's given?
Yeah, you'll get those little dials. You should
Okay.
get the dials, but you can't use the accessibility report unless you enable it. And I do really want to emphasize is that you really want to use the accessibility report just because of the structure. And like it says, it gets everything. Because if you're looking through your modules, you're not going to be able to go in and see the pages and the stuff that it picks up in the real rich content editor. Like,
Perfect. When
you
you
know,
when you enable that accessibility report, is there any hiccuping that could happen on when you enable it? Like
no,
after you put in
I don't.
content, or does it mask all of it?
If you add new content, it will pick up the new content.
Okay.
It's as I understand it, it's kind of always updating. It's always live. It's always picking up. So if you add new content, it does it. Now, that means like say you run it once and you start adding stuff, you're going to have to run it again. You're going to have to click on it and get it again.
Perfect.
But it's not like it won't pick up new material. It'll pick up things you add. It'll pick up the things that are already there. But like this rich content editor, which is really robust in Canvas, I don't know if you've done it. You can do so much in it. The accessibility report is going to pick that stuff up, which you can't necessarily do if you're looking through the files or modules easily.
Thank you.
Okay, great. I have a couple of questions. So let me ask my Ally one, and then Tracy actually had one that was not Ally related, but was Canvas related. So my question was just about the Ally, the information for students, so the accessibility features. And I looked on the Keep Learning website and I found it by doing a search, but I couldn't find them just scrolling and looking. So I was just wondering if there's any plans to market that more to students and make sure maybe the Academic Success Center knows, and obviously Disability Resources can let our students know, but since that is a universal design.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's kind of like with migration and everything, Ally's kind of been like soft launch. Like we didn't do a full pilot like I did at my other school and stuff where we really tested it out and everything, but we already knew what we had because I've worked with it. So it's kind of like we haven't been able to really push it. And I think as we get through the migration, we're going to see us push more about the things like Ally, like the tools in Canvas and general things. But I think right now, it's something I could definitely pass on because I don't control the website content, but I could talk about it. Like we could maybe get more information out there for Ally to push it.
Yeah, I think that'd be great because again, there are some other things that I know we've provided for all students that are related to access, but anyone can use them, like Read and Write Gold is available for students. And so anyone who might benefit by being able to listen to their materials out loud can use that. So I think having that information about Ally would be really important for all of the student body. So,
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Awesome. And then Tracy had a question, just wondering, since we are talking about accessibility in Canvas, if you could show how instructors can give extended time on exams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we get asked that question sometimes, and that's not through Ally, but that is something, or I'm assuming it's not, but that's something that we get asked, and that might be helpful.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that's really a great question. So the extended time, eCampus, it was nice. I think they did a good, I like using eCampus. I came from the first job at instructional design talking about extended time. That's where you basically have a student who needs time and a half or something like that on their quiz. I had to do it Sakai, and Sakai wouldn't let us do that. So we had to create multiple quizzes for people with different time sets, but eCampus allowed that feature. And luckily Canvas has its own feature for that too. So I'm going to go to my quizzes and basically go to a quiz you want to do. You want to talk about like this person needs to get extended time. So what you do is you go to the quiz that you want to add extended time to, and you go to moderate quiz, click the little gear. One thing about Canvas, just a general use thing, is the 3 dots are always important. If you're looking for something, look at the 3 dots or look at the gear icon. So you have moderate this quiz. So basically I select my student and I click the pencil to edit, and basically I can give extra attempts, multiple attempts, and this is the difference because you want to make sure you think of this in minutes. So if it's a 60-minute exam and they're getting time and a half, they're going to get 120 minutes. You want to put the minutes in there. It's not like you can do 1.5 or anything like that. And you can manually unlock the quiz if they get multiple attempts. But again, it's go to the quiz you want to do. So you can go to your quizzes. I'll go to another quiz to show you. So go to a quiz, go to moderate this quiz, and pick your name, click the pencil to the far right, and then, oops. Oh, because it didn't have time. This one, as you notice here, that you notice the time thing didn't come up, but extra attempts did because there's no time limit on this quiz. And if you notice the other quiz, let's go back to that, the first one, it tells you the time limit, which helps you set your moderate the quiz for your extra time. Sorry, it's a little slow. So extra time on every attempt, it tells you get 60 on that. So like I said, it's a clean system. A lot of things, I will say this, if you're a master user in eCampus, you're gonna find some things in Canvas that are a lot more limited, but at the same time, I think Canvas is very easy for people who are not super LMS savvy to pick up or want kind of a straightforward design out of their LMS. And like I said, the Ally really just does a bang up job of helping increase the accessible nature of the course.
So Travis, if there were multiple students who had time and a half on their quiz or double time, you could click them and do all of them at one time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you do basically you have to still go click them and then do that right there. So it works a little different than the eCampus version, but it's not bad. It says change extensions for the 4 selected students. So just make sure you select them.
Okay, and Tracy just made a note about that there is a shortcut from our website about how to do the extra time, and then on the Keep Teaching website there is a link.
Yes. Yeah, we have a lot of training on this, like the quizzes to using it, because it's one of the things we copy and moderating the quizzes, because like I say, it's a very useful tool, because a lot of times what happens is for whatever reason, especially now with everyone being remote, is students are having more technical issues legitimately. And that way a teacher on the fly can go in there and add, an extra 30 minutes to their test or whatever. So again, talking about a universal feature.
Awesome. And Janina said, sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, what's the assessment value of putting a time limit anyway? And I think you might have been in one of our other sessions, but I could be wrong, where I made a comment about exams in general, but I could be wrong. That might have been someone else, but I could get on a soapbox about exams, but I won't. And what practical thing do they mean in the long run? But we can have a side conversation about that sometime if you would like to.
Yeah, I mean,
and she was there. I was correct. She was with me about the exams.
Well, we probably have it's probably similar to the discussion we have about academic integrity. How do you ensure academic integrity? A lot of it has to do with authentic assessment and, thinking about how you structure an exam and what you're really trying to gauge from the students. So yeah, it could be, that's the whole other topic.
Yeah, for sure. Does anyone else have questions about Ally? I appreciate, as someone who's not an instructor, I appreciate just even seeing Canvas and being able to walk through some of those things. That's been really helpful, Travis.
Yeah, and like I say, if you go to our lms.tme, we have training support. We do have office hours and also migration consultations that help you kind of make that move to Canvas and move forward. And so I'm glad to show you. And I think, like I said, Ally is just, I think, has so much potential and can make everyone's life a little bit easier. So, if you're out there teaching and using it, please take advantage of it. And we're here for questions about it. And you know where to find us.
Yeah, I think the other thing, just a quick point about Ally is I think because it explains and it really walks you through the process, once you've
Absolutely.
used it a little bit, it's just going to make it easier and easier to make your courses accessible. And it really can be helpful if you're doing things outside of Canvas. So the things that are important. So we know that we put an alt text description on pictures if we're doing a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm not doing that in Canvas, but I am doing that when I do a presentation. And I've just kind of had to learn through practice of how to do that. And by using Ally and getting that kind of stepping you through the process, I think that would be really helpful.
Oh, and I will say this, in the pilot I did, so we didn't really do that here, but when I was at my old school, we were in a really structured pilot with multiple colleges, multiple instructors. And these were not instructors that were necessarily, I would say, super technologically advanced. They really, because of the way it's structured with those instructions, were able to take control. And basically the issues came from PDFs, because it gets a little more complicated sometimes with that. But the PowerPoints, the Word docs, the images, they really took to it and were able to take control within that course and do it all themselves because of Ally.
Great. We do have another question, which is, could you show an example of how it checks an external link or video?
You broke up a little bit. Could you repeat?
Yes. Can you show an example of how it checks an external link or video?
Okay.
That was from Tracy, if she needs to explain more.
Well, it's not going to check anything external. It doesn't check anything once it goes out of the web page.
Okay, I think when you were going with the overview, it sounded like, does it actually go out and check a link that comes
No,
from the website?
yeah, I said, and I should have brought it up. I feel bad. There is a package. There's a buy-in that's extra, but we didn't get it as of now. That will actually let you, because this is really important when we go to the publisher website, so it won't go and check that website. But if there used to be, and I think they still offer it, an added service where they will go out and check that. We do not have that at this time. But yeah, it will go do the external stuff, but we don't have it. But they do have it. So petition, do it, because it's probably going to be real important for publisher websites.
Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize if that was confusing. I just wanted to reiterate there is actually a way, we just don't have it to make it actually go out and check those publisher websites, which is probably that's actually one of the biggest questions we got when we were implementing my old job is, does it go check those outside of the class? No, but it can. And they may have ended up buying it at ACC, but it's an extra service, but they do definitely have it.
And there's some of the free things I'll do a basic search, so we could also show people some of those basics. I can't remember what they are because it's been a long time, but the old Ask Bobby type stuff. Okay.
And I always tell profs, if you want, like, go to Wave and just like the Wave accessibility checker and stuff like that to check that external website that you're sitting into.
Thank you.
Travis, can I ask another question about like an additional purchase point, I guess, for Canvas?
Yeah.
So in the same vein, there is an equivalent for my organizations on eCampus with Canvas. Do you have any updates or any information on what that will look like for Texas A&M in the fall?
We're working on some official verbiage. We're going to have something like that. It may not be until right before we get out of eCampus. And we're going to have a plan to do that, but they're working on it. They're piloting it, I think maybe as early as this summer. Let me see if we have that. Unfortunately, that is one of those things where you get the back end and admin people, whereas I would say we'll just create a termless course because that's kind of what it is, but I don't run the security. But yeah, we are definitely working on those. It's definitely getting good. Something is going to come to take the replace in Canvas of the orgs. And the good news is, I think for a lot of people running orgs are usually structured in a way that once we get those Canvas equivalents done, that basically we will be able to easily move the orgs over as long as they're within a certain size limit. So yes, I empathize with you. We're working on it. It will happen. not before summer, maybe as late as right before the fall, but we will have something for your UE campus org users. It is
Amazing. Thank
being
you.
worked on.
Okay, well, thank you, Travis. I know Megan has a couple of things that she probably will want to share here at the end, but this has been really interesting, even to me who does not teach and isn't really in Canvas, but just learning more about accessibility and what's offered. And hopefully everyone who's here will be helpful. You can also take this information back to other people that you work with, even just to let them know about Ally. They can kind of play around with it and then contact Academic Innovation if they need more assistance with anything specific with their courses.
Cool. Please
Megan,
do.
did you want to share anything?
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Orr and Dr. Irby. Thank y'all again so much for being here today. It means so much to us that you are willing to take an hour out of your day to come and learn a little bit more about accessibility, especially here on the Aggie campus. We want to definitely thank Dr. Irby for taking time out of his day to share a little bit more about his work and also to put a name to the face so that we can reach out to you when we have questions. So we appreciate your time so much. This session, like we mentioned in the beginning, is being recorded, and that is so that if you have, if you would like to share this session, if you would like to rewatch it, it will be on our website, the Accessibility in Aggieland website, and I would be happy to put that in the chat function for you guys so that you can click on that. I also want to put a shameless plug in for our upcoming sessions. We have one on May 6th for virtual accessibility with Cynthia Cotter with Electronic and Information Services. And then we have a final session with a special guest from our one of Dr. Orr's colleagues from Arizona. Chrissy, will you share a little bit more about her and what she's going to be talking about?
Sure. So the last session, we're kind of calling it a keynote at the end of all of our sessions about accessibility in Aggieland, is May 13th, and it is Dr. Amanda Kraus from the University of Arizona. She is the executive director of their Disability Resource Center, and she'll be talking about bias and microaggressions related to disability. She is fabulous. I've probably seen her present it maybe 3 times. And every time I learn something more, it's really shaped a lot of my view of disability. And she's just very interesting to listen to. So I highly encourage you to come. It's on the Accessibility in Aggieland website. We are bringing her in as an outside speaker and really would just love to have a good audience for that. So I'd love to see you there in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Orr. We both shared the website in the chat function. So take a minute to please click on that and look at the upcoming sessions, view any sessions that maybe you missed. We'd love it if you would share that with your colleagues so that we could get the word out about the sessions that are available to view. I will be sending an evaluation survey via email immediately following this meeting, and we would really appreciate it if you would take a minute just to share out some things that you like, some things that you learned, some things you wish we would do differently or think about, because we want to make this experience better for all of you. But thank you again. Thank you, Dr. Orr, for being on the planning team and for your support. You've been such a huge support. And Dr. Irby, again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it, and thanks for attending. And I know we have a really great staff here with the Disability Support Unit at A&M. So you're in good hands.
You certainly are. Y'all have a great day, everyone. Thank you.